On the 5th year of our marriage. He went to a class reunion alone without telling me. When he came back, he was drunk. His hazy gaze fixed on me with unmistakable disdain in his voice. You know, I could have made a much better choice. A choice without regret? How could there be no regret? If only I could go back to 5 years ago. How great that would be. That night, I finished the rest of the wine on the table, swallowing the pain that felt like knives twisting in my stomach. When I woke up, I found myself back in the year we graduated from college. Standing outside the dormitory, I saw him holding a bouquet of flowers, excitedly knocking on the door next to mine. I hugged my books and walked out without looking back. This time, I wouldn't lose my life to him again. When Grace pushed me awake, tears were still hanging at the corners of my eyes. Emily, did you have a nightmare? I jolted upright, my mind still foggy. I just ran into Ryan on my way to buy breakfast. He was holding a huge bouquet of roses and came straight toward us. He looked really excited. I glanced around in shock, unable to believe what I was seeing. This was my college dorm room. I pinched myself hard. It hurt. Grace, pinch me. Hard. Her mouth twitched, but she did as I asked. The pain snapped me into full clarity. My mind still echoed with Ryan's last hateful words from my dream. You know, I could have made a much better choice. If only I could go back to 5 years ago. And now, I really had returned to 5 years ago. Tears welled up again as the realization hit me. Grace, startled, anxiously asked what kind of terrifying nightmare I'd had. Looking at her youthful, innocent face, I shook my head. There was no need to scare a bright-eyed college student with the story of a failed marriage. From downstairs, a commotion rose. Grace grabbed my hand excitedly. Ryan must be here to confess to you. I checked the calendar. Yes, on this day in my previous life. It was the anniversary of our relationship. Ryan and I met through the school club, sharing a love for movies and novels. We quickly became close. He could sing, dance, write plays, and host events. He was the center of attention at school. Whenever we sat on the field discussing movies, girls would often come over to ask for his contact information. He would always wave them off with a smile, saying he forgot his phone. I like girls who can watch the sunset with me, he once said, out of nowhere, in a voice so soft it was almost inaudible. Blushing, I hastily said goodbye. Flustered. Later, he wrote a post on the confession wall, where every detail matched me perfectly. My friend Lily assured me he would confess to me today. When I stepped outside, the noise from the crowd grew louder. Before long, that familiar figure appeared at the corner, holding a bouquet of roses. Ryan. It's really Ryan. So many roses. Is he going to confess to Bella from dorm 202? Not sure. But let's go see. I didn't move forward. The next second, I locked eyes with Ryan. His gaze swept over me briefly before he stopped in front of the door next to mine. It wasn't Bella. I let out a sigh, hugged my books, and walked away. Ryan, I hope this time you have no regrets about your choice. 2 days later, news of Ryan's heartfelt confession to Sophia spread across the school. Some nosy classmates came to me, curious. Emily, wasn't Ryan's confession on the wall clearly about you? What's going on with Sophia? Yeah, I heard Sophia tried to ask him out before but got rejected. What's happening now? I pulled out a mock exam paper and waved them off. It's all a misunderstanding. They're the perfect couple. It has nothing to do with me. Ryan and I were just in the same club, so we occasionally worked on some tasks together. That's all. Grace looked at me sympathetically and helped me fend them off. Ryan. Grace started to say but stopped when someone called my name. Emily. I turned to see Sophia. The room fell silent, and everyone curious glanced our way. Why was she looking for me? To show off? But Ryan had never publicly hinted at anything between us. At best, I was just a cooperative club member. Can I help you? Sophia, tall and bold in her dress, was undeniably striking, but her first words erased any trace of admiration I had. Ryan is swamped with work at the club today. Why didn't you help him? Can't you be a bit more responsible? The slight respect I had evaporated instantly. First, you're not a club member, so I'm not obligated to listen to your accusations. Second, I informed the club leader of my resignation days ago. and handed over all my responsibilities. Next time, please spend a few minutes thinking before making baseless accusations. I met her gaze calmly. If I could avoid it, I didn't want to have anything to do with her. Ryan chose her, and I was happy to stay out of it. Drunken words often reveal true feelings, and Ryan's careless remark had shown me my true place in his heart. What once was pure and innocent love had been corrupted in the grind of marriage. When he started to feel disgusted by my out-of-shape body, did he ever think that once, back in school, I was the star of the stage? After our marriage, because of his health issues, we couldn't hear any news of a new life coming into the world. Emily, I really want us to have a child, he said, longing to make our love and marriage feel complete. For that dream, I accompanied him to countless treatments, trying to improve his condition, but the results were minimal. Under the mounting pressure, his words began to take a different tone, subtly placing blame on me. I only worked so hard because I wanted to give you a better life. I've been so tired that I neglected my health. Emily, couldn't you pay more attention to me? Shifting part of the responsibility onto me seemed to ease his burden. If the blame was shared, he didn't have to carry it all alone. I started to feel anxious. I didn't know what else I could do to make things better for him. When I saw him secretly wiping his tears, I panicked, feeling as though I had become the guilty party. To ease his burden, I worked even harder. Sometimes I skipped meals, rushing to meet deadlines so I could earn more and lighten his load. No matter how late I came home, I ensured every household chore, big or small, was taken care of. Your health isn't great, you should rest more. I'd tell him, only for him to grow angry and give me the cold shoulder. The words "your health isn't great" touched a sensitive nerve in him. In the end, I was the one apologizing, finding ways to make peace. Yet, as hope dwindled, Ryan fell into deeper despair. Eventually, we turned to IVF. With that, Ryan seemed revitalized. He cheerfully handed over all the responsibilities and pressures to me. The care and concern I once showered on him were never reciprocated. Don't overthink it. Stress makes it harder to conceive. And all our time, money, and energy would be wasted. Don't stay up late. Stop eating unhealthy food. How many times do I have to tell you? If you're stressed, it's because you don't have enough to do. Find something to keep yourself busy at home. The burden of severe anxiety, physical exhaustion, and the pause in my career hit me all at once. My eating habits became erratic. My biological clock fell out of sync, and sleepless nights stretched endlessly. My body changed rapidly, and I lost my confidence, my composure, and my happiness. Looking back at how I struggled in the depths of pain, I barely recognized myself. That bright, passionate young woman who once poured her heart into writing 8,000-word movie reviews, sobbed over novels, or biked 2 hours just to enjoy some fried snacks. That version of me blurred further and further into the past, eventually vanishing completely in my marriage with Ryan. You don't know the rules, do you? Don't think you can act so high and mighty just because you helped Ryan a few times before. Okay. I remained indifferent and turned to leave, but Sophia stepped in front of me, blocking my path. What's wrong with you? I asked, genuinely curious. Did I not make myself clear enough? Or do you just not understand plain English? Anger flared across Sophia's face. Watch your mouth. And you think you can just quit the club whenever you want? What do you think this is? Your personal playground? Quitting the club requires a handwritten 10,000 word application. Got it? A 10,000 word application. I almost laughed out loud. Oh, what if I just don't write it? Then forget about quitting. Whatever tasks we assign you, you'll do them, she said, crossing her arms with a smug air, as though she were the queen of the club. That moment, Ryan strode over. When his eyes landed on me, he hesitated for a second. I steadied myself, meeting his gaze. So, quitting the club now requires a 10,000 word handwritten application. I asked coolly, is that your rule? Should we escalate this to the United Nations? Ryan frowned at my sarcasm and turned to Sophia. What's going on? Sophia, why are you so upset? Now I was the outsider. So naturally, he sought the explanation from his girlfriend. Sophia's anger melted into sweetness. her voice taking on a delicate tone. Ryan, I was just explaining the process for quitting the club. Maybe Emily misunderstood me because she's not in a great mood today. I let out a bitter laugh. How bored must she have been to come here and put on such a show? Ryan patted her head affectionately, his demeanor full of indulgence. My girlfriend's a little naive, so don't take her words too seriously. If you're quitting the club because of me. He trailed off, sneaking a glance at Sophia. Sophia pursed her lips. I cut him off before he could finish. No, Ryan, I'm not quitting because of you. I simply don't have the time or energy anymore. Men like him seem to have a built-in arrogance, assuming every action others took somehow revolved around them. Ryan's expression faltered, a faint smirk of disbelief tugging at his lips. So, Ryan, I continued, does quitting the club really require a 10,000 word handwritten application? Sophia chimed in, hinting that there had once been such a rule. Ryan's response was vague. I shrugged. Well, I'm not writing one. If it's truly necessary, feel free to contact my academic advisor or the faculty head to notify me. My bluntness only worsened Ryan's expression. Once, I might have softened my tone for him, but those days were long gone. I never withheld kind words from him. He said he loved my gentleness, my understanding nature, and the way I could always heal him at just the right moment. The me who once felt ecstatic at his compliments never imagined that, just a few years later, I would become his greatest regret. Back at the starting line in this new life, he decisively chose Sophia instead. I understood why. It all traced back to the class reunion during the 5th year of our marriage. Ryan went alone, not telling me, likely because he didn't want to bring along a woman who had become out of shape, worn out, and unemployed, a potential embarrassment in front of his peers. My college roommate, Grace, also attended that reunion. Seeing that I wasn't there, she kept updating me about everything that happened. Do you remember Sophia? The one who used to chase after your husband? She's even more stunning now, dripping in jewels. Apparently, she's a content creator making good money. And your husband? Out of all the seats, he just had to sit next to her. They seemed deep in conversation, even though it looked like Sophia wasn't too interested. Ryan kept fawning over her. Though, Grace sent me message after message, along with photos. In the pictures, Sophia looked radiant, leaning close to Ryan's ear, whispering something. Later, someone started egging them on to drink a toast together. Ryan, are you sure you want to drink that? Won't your wife make you kneel on a washboard when you get home? Ryan's gaze stayed glued to Sophia. He laughed and replied, if I get to drink with Sophia, a night on the washboard would be worth it. I hadn't seen that light-hearted, playful side of him in ages. Apparently, he only carried his gloom and weariness when he was with me. Even at night, he started making excuses to sleep in the guest room. I blamed myself for dragging him into a life of poverty and exhaustion. I blamed myself for his declining health. Standing in front of the mirror, I lifted my shirt to look at the countless needle marks on my body. Tears streamed down as I laughed bitterly. If I had another chance, I wouldn't tie my life to any man's choices. My future would belong to me alone. The drama surrounding my departure from the club finally came to an end. That evening, Ryan sent me a WeChat message out of the blue. Hello, Emily. I used to be nice to you because we shared common interests. If I gave you the wrong impression, I apologize. I have a girlfriend now and am very happy. I hope you find your happiness too. What was this? A preemptive move to make sure I wouldn't cling to him and ruin his shiny new life? I didn't even bother responding. I deleted and blocked him immediately. The days that followed were peaceful. My routine was simple: library, dorm, cafeteria. With grad school entrance exams approaching, I stayed at the library late into the night. To avoid disturbing my roommates, Grace and I decided to rent a small place near campus for studying. I rarely ran into Ryan and Sophia anymore. Word had it that Ryan had left the club as well, supposedly to spend more time with Sophia. When a man has a motive, he'll willingly make sacrifices. Just when I thought our paths would drift further and further apart, something unexpected happened. One evening, after running errands downtown, I came back late and, feeling exhausted, dozed off on the bus. I missed my stop and had to walk back. Passing by the entrance of a hotel, I saw Sophia. The arm around her waist wasn't Ryan's. A passerby suddenly bumped into me from behind, and my phone dropped to the ground with a loud clatter. "Sorry, miss. Is your phone okay?" he said apologetically, picking it up for me. Checked it. Apart from a small crack on the edge of the screen protector, everything else was fine. "It's okay," I replied. Sophia glanced over at us. I wasn't sure if she noticed me, but I left in a hurry. When I returned to the rental, Grace was practically shouting, "Ryan's at it again," showing off his love life. Curious, I peeked at her phone. It was a new post from Ryan's social media. "My baby's getting her hair done today. Can't wait to be blown away by how stunning she looks." Grace pouted. "Ugh, I swear, when I get next month's allowance, I'm going to get my hair done too. Money really does matter." Huh. An idea struck me, and I suddenly felt ridiculous for all the time I had wasted before. I went back to my room, intending to call my parents, but then realized it would take too long to explain. Since I had no classes and my studies were on track, I decided to just head home immediately. When I arrived, my parents were both surprised and delighted. "Emily, why didn't you let us know you were coming?" "Dad, Mom," I asked directly, "how much do we have saved up?" They exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions nervous. "Is something wrong? Are you in debt? Did you fall for a scam? Tell us it's not some online loan." My mom fired off questions, visibly anxious. "No, Mom," I said, trying to calm her down. I couldn't help but laugh. "Let me explain." My parents were even more astonished. "Buying a house?" "No, wait. 2 houses. But those places in that neighborhood are old, cramped, and run down," my mom said, turning to my dad and tapping her temple. "Do you think our daughter hit her head somewhere?" "Emily," she added, "if you really can't pass your exams, that's okay. Don't stress yourself too much." I sighed. I understood how sudden and strange this request sounded, but I couldn't let go of such a rare opportunity to make money. If only I could remember more about the financial details from 5 years later. Or, better yet, memorize a winning lottery number. "Mom, Dad, you have to trust me." I overheard a classmate talking on the phone in the library. "That neighborhood is about to be rezoned into a prestigious school district. The property prices will quadruple soon. Their family has inside connections. You know what I mean." After a long, heartfelt conversation and considering my usual reliability, they reluctantly chose to believe me. The paperwork moved quickly. My parents used almost all their savings to make the down payments on 3 apartments. "Mom, maybe we should borrow some more money, or even sell our current house," I suggested. Before I could finish, my mom interrupted. "Emily, leave us some breathing room, please. We've already put nearly everything on the line." The night before, I hadn't slept a wink, worrying they might not agree. Now that they stood firm on this limit, I didn't push further. Feeling refreshed, I returned to school. "Emily, can we talk?" Ryan stopped me, looking visibly uneasy. "There's nothing for us to talk about," I replied curtly and tried to leave. "Wait," he said hurriedly. "Sophia has been acting distant with me lately. I don't know what I did wrong. I even noticed she changed her profile picture and her phone's lock screen password." I raised an eyebrow. "So, you're my only female friend. You're thoughtful and good at analyzing people. As a woman, why do you think she's acting like this?" That moment, I truly questioned if Ryan had lost his mind. Did he honestly expect me to play therapist for him? The same person who dismissed my opinions when we were married? 3 years into our marriage, I stumbled upon a social media post by one of his younger colleagues. It was a photo of her clinging to Ryan's arm, complete with heart-shaped filters. Worse, it was posted on Valentine's Day. Given all the coincidences, it was impossible not to read too much into it. But when I confronted Ryan, he rubbed his temples impatiently. "She's just a kid who sees me as a mentor. Posting that was probably just for fun. I hardly even talked to her. If you don't believe me, you can check my phone." "Emily, your analysis is too much. You're being paranoid," he added dismissively, already anxious and sensitive. His words kept me up for several nights. Back in the present, I looked at him steadily. "Clearly, you're not treating her well enough. She probably feels insecure." Ryan's face darkened, but I couldn't suppress my cold amusement. Some men always think the grass is greener elsewhere, never satisfied with what they have. Emily, thank you. You're still as understanding as ever. Let me take you to lunch to show my gratitude. I cut him off immediately. No thanks. Eating with you would probably kill my appetite. After that, Ryan clung to Sophia even more tightly. Rumors swirled that they planned to marry right after graduation. The mere mention of the word marriage sent a shiver down my spine. The day before my grad school entrance exam, I packed early and prepared to rest. Excuse me, a male classmate said, approaching me. He had slightly messy hair, glasses, and starry, bright eyes. He was handsome, but I didn't recognize him. Hi, I'm Kevin Chun. I've been sitting diagonally across from you. You probably didn't notice me. Most of the textbooks you've been reading are the same ones I've been studying. What a coincidence. Good luck to both of us. Oh, and would it be okay if we added each other on WeChat? I politely declined, shaking my head with a smile. The new year that followed was the happiest one I'd had in a long time. As expected, the apartments we bought were rezoned, and their values skyrocketed. My family's tight financial situation suddenly improved. Grace, who had been skeptical, finally convinced her family to buy one apartment as well. When the new policy took effect, her parents were so thrilled they sent me a big package of local specialties as thanks. That spring festival, I had my parents' company, a new home to live in, and none of the burdens I had carried before. I didn't have to spend hours preparing a meal to cater to a man's picky tastes. I didn't have to don rubber gloves to wash endless dishes. I didn't have to down countless pills or endure bitter herbal medicine to try and conceive. Most importantly, I didn't have to lie in a cold hospital bed, enduring hundreds of painful injections. Before marriage, I never realized how much tedious, frustrating housework could pile up in a home, or how much tiny, trivial nonsense could dominate daily life. In the kitchen, my dad sat on a low stool, peeling vegetables. Old Meng, pass me the garlic. My mom called out. Sure thing, he replied cheerfully. Wash the green onions too. Got it. Bring me the rock sugar. Right away. Watching them work side by side, each immersed in their own small, happy tasks, I couldn't help but smile. This was what warmth and peace truly looked like. I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Emily, your results are out, Grace announced. After the interview phase, Grace and I both got accepted into the schools we had applied to. I suddenly became the dark horse in my class, the unexpected star. Congratulations. Ryan, persistent as ever, appeared again. He seemed overly enthusiastic, as if he had a condition that made him clingy. He even brought me my favorite sea salt cake. During our relationship, whenever we argued, all it took was a small cake like that to pacify me. I never thought he'd still remember. I didn't expect you to be this amazing. You're truly exceptional. But, just a friendly reminder, the job market isn't great for postgraduates. It might even be harder to find work after you graduate. Maybe consider live streaming or content creation, he said gently, adding in a quieter tone. But don't tell anyone else. Competition is fierce. I couldn't understand him. Why, after choosing to let me go, did he keep coming back? Acting like this? Did he pity me for not being the one he chose? Ryan, please don't contact me again. Thank you. I don't think we're even friends. Also, you have a girlfriend, so it's best to maintain some boundaries. The smile on his face faltered. I don't know why, but I always feel so lonely. Only when I see you. Before he could finish, I turned and went back to class. That morning, Grace told me Sophia had turned down Ryan's proposal, saying they were too young to get married and should wait a few years. I had to admit, Sophia was far more clear-headed than I had been. On graduation day, I ran into Sophia at a cafe. She walked straight up to me. I didn't expect you not to tell anyone about what you saw that day, she said. I paused, then smiled lightly. I don't have a habit of meddling in other people's business. Besides, what I saw might not even have been real. That man could have been your brother or cousin, or there could be another explanation. I don't have the time, energy, or obligation to investigate someone else's personal matters, nor would I spread unverified rumors. When I left, The barista told me Sophia had already paid for my bill. Under Ryan's suggestion, Sophia started her career as a live streamer early. With her striking appearance, sweet voice, and chatty nature, she gained moderate popularity within a few months. Ryan became her moderator and manager. Her bio listed her as single. I had to admit, her stamina was impressive. Sometimes, even late at night, I'd stumble upon her streams, where she called viewers brother, honey, or darling without stopping for breath. Ryan's posts, once filled with pictures and videos of Sophia, now showed no trace of her. At my new school, I discovered a wider world, though it was sometimes hectic. With high demands from my advisor, it was nothing compared to my married life. In marriage, my efforts had only yielded disappointment. Here, my hard work brought recognition and a sense of self-worth. When the national scholarship list was published, I was surprised to see a familiar name, Kevin Chun. At the freshman welcome meeting, we exchanged WeChat contacts. Though our research fields are slightly different, we can share tips and information if something useful comes up, he said with an easy confidence, showing no trace of awkwardness from my earlier rejection. I nodded and shook his hand politely. From then on, we became each other's go-to collaborators in research projects. Just before graduation, Ryan showed up again, relentless as a ghost. He stopped me while my phone screen was still on a trending topic. Sophia and her top-ranking fan accused of having an affair. Emily, you have to help me this time, Ryan said. His eyes red and panicked. His unshaven face, gaunt cheeks, and puffy eyes told me he'd been in a bad state. His unhealthy complexion hinted at the toll of late nights spent managing Sophia's streams, a lifestyle his weak body couldn't handle. When we were married, Ryan often fell sick. A simple cold or fever would require 4 drips to recover. Now, he looked even worse than back then. I felt no pity, only a bitter amusement. At least he couldn't blame me for his state this time. With people bustling around the campus gate, I didn't want to stand there with him. Still, I was curious about what he needed from me. What do you want? I asked. We went to a nearby cafe, where I urged him to explain. Sophia, I can't believe she treated me like this. Ryan began. He explained that Sophia's streaming account was entirely under her name, meaning all the income went directly to her. She only gave him a monthly salary of 3,000 yuan. 3,000, he repeated, his voice breaking as if on the verge of tears. I stirred my coffee and replied, well, as you said, the job market isn't great. 3,000 seems reasonable. Realizing what he'd said earlier, he coughed awkwardly. That's not even the worst part, he continued. She's my girlfriend, so I didn't mind at first. But I need to grow my own career too. I suggested starting a couples channel, but she flatly refused. Then I found out she's been getting close to her top-ranking fan for a while now. Ryan slammed the table in frustration, his voice trembling with anger. I couldn't stomach the injustice. I wanted fairness, so I exposed what was happening. In retaliation, he recruited trolls and his fans to smear me, calling me a freeloader and gold digger. Ryan looked at me, disbelief written all over his face. Emily, help me. I know you understand me. You know I'm not that kind of person, he continued, his voice growing desperate. And I overheard something before. She was on the phone with someone, talking about how back in college, before graduation, she went to a hotel with another man behind my back. Did you know about that? Did you see her? His eyes blazed with anger, almost burning. Emily, you have to testify for me. You have to prove that she's a morally corrupt woman, and that I'm not just some spineless freeloader. You're a fellow graduate from a prestigious school. Your words carry weight. He buried his head in his hands, as if he couldn't bear the weight anymore. I can't let myself regret this any longer. I've already lost too much. I finished the last sip of my coffee and stood up. Thank you for providing such an entertaining story for my afternoon tea. But I have things to do. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. He hurriedly reached out to grab my hand, but I smoothly avoided him. Emily, I know you're still mad about me choosing Sophia over you, but I had my reasons. That moment, the door swung open, and in walked Sophia. She froze for only a second before regaining her composure. Ryan, we need to talk, she said coolly. Let's part on good terms. Or you'll be the one who loses out. I suddenly realized how nosy I'd become. Who would have thought that the same person who used to mock Grace for loving gossip would now linger at a nearby table, pretending to clean up my things just to listen more intently than I ever had in class? Sophia's solution was straightforward. She would pay Ryan his salary at market rates. They would delete all videos featuring each other, and the relationship would end peacefully. Ryan's face turned red with fury. Why? Now that you've gained some fame and money, you're just going to kick me to the curb? Do you know how much I... He started coughing violently, his face reddening further. Sophia stepped back, covering her nose with disdain. What's wrong with you? Stop acting like you've sacrificed so much. All you did was stay up late. Do you think I wasn't staying up too? I'm the one singing, dancing, and chatting on camera. If you're not happy and your body can't handle it, then quit. Go find another job. The words "your body can't handle it" hit a nerve. Ryan's face darkened even more. Sophia, how dare you? He shouted. You went to a hotel with another man during college, and now you're accusing me of freeloading? How could someone like you exist? Sophia frowned, dabbing at her face with a compact. Back then, we barely spoke, but after a little chase, you confessed to me. Let's not pretend. You were only attracted to my looks. Why would you care about anything else? Did I stop you from enjoying yourself? My face and body haven't changed. Why take things so seriously now? And for the record, it was late that night. We just booked a room to play mahjong. Is that illegal? Ryan was dumbfounded by her response. Sophia rolled her eyes. And look at yourself. Ryan, every piece of clothing, every accessory, your shoes, your watch, even your phone. I bought all of it. Could you afford any of this on your own? Getting called a freeloader really hits a nerve. Huh. Some men. The only thing stiff about them is their pride. I felt a strange urge to clap, my hands itching to applaud. Ryan stumbled out, his steps unsteady. As he passed my table, he muttered, "Thanks." I was puzzled. I hadn't done anything. What was he thanking me for? Enjoyed the show? Sophia asked, her tone as arrogant as ever. Well, you got a free performance, so we're even now. At the counter, she tried to pay, but the cashier stopped her. That lady already covered your bill. I picked up my bag, smiled at her, and said, now we're even. After calming down, Ryan must have realized he had no leverage. He deleted the videos and completely exited Sophia's live streaming world. Before long, he opened his own account and started creating content. Thanks to his looks, he initially attracted some followers, but his infrequent posting, rough editing, and lack of improvement hindered his growth. He was far from monetizing his efforts. That year, I graduated. To my delight, I secured an internship at a prominent company and was even invited to participate in a workplace reality show. Surprisingly, Kevin Chun was also among the invitees. For the first time, I stepped into the spotlight. I constantly reminded myself to tread carefully with my words and actions. Luckily, every evening, Grace was there to chat with me, helping to ease my nerves. What I didn't expect was that many online viewers started shipping me and Kevin Chun as a couple. Both of our platform accounts saw a surge in followers. Emily is exactly my ideal image of a professional woman. She embodies the strength and wisdom of women perfectly. Some of the compliments even made me blush. Earning recognition from other women felt incredibly rewarding. I explained multiple times that Kevin and I were just classmates who collaborated well. Nothing more. That evening, after drying my hair, I heard a commotion downstairs. From the balcony, I spotted Ryan holding a megaphone. Emily, I regret it. First, I didn't want to go down, but Ryan stood his ground, refusing to leave. The crowd of onlookers kept growing, and I couldn't sit still anymore. What are you doing? Recreating meteor shower? I asked, my tone cold. Seeing my indifference, he let out a bitter laugh. Emily, you might not believe me, but I had a dream. In the dream, we were married. You were so good to me, and I was happy. We even. I raised my hand to cut him off. Stop. And were you good to me? Was I happy? Ryan fell silent. The grievances I endured over 5 years, though faded in memory, still ached when recalled. He opened his mouth but couldn't speak. After a long pause, his hoarse voice finally came out. When I woke up, I realized what my heart truly wanted. I was wrong. Emily. So wrong. That was just a dream, wasn't it? I said quietly. Ryan, I stopped loving you a long time ago. Tears welled in his eyes as he choked up. Some people in the crowd shouted things like, marry him, or forgive him. They only saw these few minutes of his supposed sincerity, not the years of suppression and torment I endured. Their careless comments carried no weight on my life. Hearing me call his name, Ryan froze, a tear slipping down his face. He looked terrible, completely worn down. Once, the old me might have felt heartache seeing him like this, might have done everything to make him happy again, might have blamed myself for not doing enough. But that was the old me. Every choice has consequences. Ryan, understand that this is my answer, I said. His expression shifted as if he'd grasped something. Tell me, Emily, are you reborn too? Is that why you know so much? He grabbed my arm, his voice tinged with madness. I pulled away, glaring at him. What are you talking about? Rebirth? I don't understand. Still muttering to himself, Ryan repeated. It must be a coincidence. Did I really make the wrong choice? I called security to escort the disoriented Ryan out. After the internship ended, we nervously awaited the results. Kevin, another talented colleague, and I received offers. A new chapter of my life unfolded before me. That evening, I bought Grace a gift. If it weren't for you being my daily source of joy, I might not have gotten the offer, I said, laughing. Grace, thrilled, shared some news. Tomorrow night is the university reunion. Let's go together and dress to impress. I'm wearing the new dress you bought me. Hearing about the reunion made me pause. I remembered the overweight, haggard version of myself in the mirror back then, Ryan's look of disgust, and the photos of him and Sophia. It all felt like a distant memory now. Sure, I replied. When Grace and I arrived at the reunion, applause greeted us. Wow, isn't that our star? Emily Meng, the genius herself. You were amazing on TV. I regret not pursuing you back then. Give it a rest. Do you think someone like Emily would settle for you? Their exaggerated comments nearly overwhelmed me, but Grace pushed through the crowd. If you want an autograph, line up. The chaos finally settled when Sophia walked in, still as charming and radiant as ever. A few male classmates immediately surrounded her, asking about her income and relationship status. It's just a way to make a living, she said modestly. Nothing compared to Emily Meng. Do you even know what her company's annual salary is? It'd scare you if I told you. Once again, Sophia deftly shifted the conversation back to me. As we chatted, the class monitor asked about Ryan. Why isn't Ryan here today? I remember sending him the invite, he said. A classmate from Ryan's hometown chimed in. He's been seriously ill recently, even had surgery. Probably couldn't come because of his health. Not everyone can handle the demands of live streaming, I guess. True. Honestly, with his abilities, he could have landed a decent job right after graduation. Someone added. Just then, the door opened. Sorry, I'm late, Ryan said, drawing everyone's attention as he walked in. He looked like a completely different person. The once dashing and confident campus heartthrob now resembled someone battling a serious illness. Ryan, are you okay? Someone asked. His face was pale, but he forced a smile. Thank you for asking. I'm fine now. Sophia rolled her eyes and placed her bag on an empty chair nearby. Ryan's eyes, however, were fixed directly on me. That day, I was wearing a fitted red dress that Grace had picked out for me, paired with a delicate necklace. My hair was styled in loose waves. Trust me, this look is perfect for you, Grace had said confidently. Now, under Ryan's intense gaze, I felt slightly uncomfortable. He took the seat next to me. Emily, you look beautiful today, he said softly. Thank you, I replied curtly, then turned to chat with Grace, ignoring him completely. To my surprise, Sophia approached me and struck up a conversation. Emily, would you consider joining me in my live stream for a casual chat? She asked, smiling sweetly. Other classmates overheard and joined in. Sophia, your calculations are so obvious they're hitting us in the face. Emily would bring a huge fan base to your stream. Emily, I'd love it if you followed me too. Another joked. Should I record a vlog of this reunion? I shrug. I'm way too busy to spare any time. Sorry. Sophia glared playfully at the others. You guys are stealing my thunder. HM. Throughout the evening, she didn't say a word to Ryan. Ryan. One classmate asked. That product you recommended to me last time didn't work. I checked, and it doesn't even have the proper certifications. I'll bring it to you later, so you can refund my money. Facing curious stares from others, Ryan replied awkwardly, I'll take a look. You should really check the companies you work with. Offering products like that is risky. Maybe it's time to switch jobs. Yeah, bigger companies are more reliable. Someone chimed in. Look at Emily's company. People would do anything to get in there. Ryan nodded hesitantly. Emily's impressive. I couldn't get in somewhere like that. Through the meal, he looked uneasy, as if sitting on pins and needles. Sitting next to him, I felt a faint sense of pity, but it didn't affect my appetite. As we were leaving, Ryan quietly called my name. Emily, I have something for you, he said, holding out an envelope. Whether you believe it or not, he continued, I've wanted to give you this for years. After college graduation, I wrote this letter for you but never had the courage to deliver it. Now, I want to give it to its rightful owner. Once you read it, you might understand my true feelings. His trembling hands and earnest expression made him look like a heartbroken character in a romance drama. Are you sure this is for me? It belongs to me now, I asked, taking the letter. He nodded, relieved. I walked outside, with Ryan following closely behind. Spotting a cleaning staff member entering with a trash bag, I called out to them. Excuse me, I said lightly, and then I dropped the letter into their trash bag. This garbage isn't mine to keep, I said casually. The footsteps behind me stopped, quickened my pace, linked arms with grace, and left the restaurant. After that night, I rarely heard anything about Ryan again. The only mention was in the class group chat, where there was a crowdfunding effort for his medical expenses. At the class monitor's request, I contributed my share, and that was the end of it.